without further ado, may we present to you
right off the bat.
new
Okay.
Diablo character class coming to Diablo Immortal very, very soon.
Ooh. Is it the one that leaked a year and a half ago, or is it something else?
The darkness
It's the one that leaks.
always been with us.
Yep. Ooh.
And humanity is right to fear it.
Yep. This is some Castlevania shit. I love this.
Darkness wants to consume you and all you love. But my kind claim its power
Whoa.
and wield it in defiance.
Whoa.
Humanity is right to fear the darkness. But I am a blood knight.
Blood
The
Knight. Okay.
darkness fears me.
Keep in mind this is a mobile game, first and foremost. So let's not be too judgmental here. I think this is actually a great concept for a character. Blood Knight. July 13th. I might actually go back to Immortal to play this character, because that's actually
There we have it.
cool.
The new class coming to Diablo and Diablo Immortal. It's the Blood Knight.
Yeah.
July 13th. That's
July
like
13th.
a little over a week
Sick.
away.
Exactly.
Sounds like there might have been some encoding issues.
Exactly. Yeah, I know that
Yeah.
some people are talking about there's a little bit of hitching on it and so forth. I will say
Yeah,
that
I
we
noticed
actually
that, but-
do have that trailer that will be on a blog on DiabloImmortal.com immediately after the stream, so people can actually check it out. It will be on YouTube along with all the details that we're about to talk about. We just like to get ahead of ourselves. That's
Sure.
all. But obviously, first new class.
That's a
to
great
the
concept for a
Diablo
character.
universe in nearly 10 years. I think there's a lot of questions in regards to like the story and so forth behind the Blood Knight. Ryan, give us a little bit of background regarding the
Why
Blood Knight.
Castlevania?
Yeah, sure. So I think historically, when we released DI, we released it with these sort of 6 very, very familiar, very stalwart classes that all of us love, that many of us have been playing for decades.
Just remove the Witch Doctor
And
from Diablo 3
it's
and then we'd
great
release
to
the
kind
game.
of indulge in that nostalgia. It's great to get that dopamine hit of playing a classic, but after 6 classes, it left us with the opportunity to do something that felt really new and different. To do a supernatural class that's kind of monstrous, that does things that
This
our
dude has
other
a super
dark classes
animated
like the
face.
Necromancer and the Demon Hunter don't do. And so we're really, really stoked about the opportunity to release the Blood Knight on everybody.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I know. Like, obviously, everyone's kind of seeing the Blood Knight and they're thinking, like, is this like vampiric in some sort of way, or like how does this fit in with the actual lore within
The
Diablo?
vampire
Right,
form
so the
reminds me a
fine
lot of
details
werewolf.
are Blood Knights and vampires are intertwined. On Sanctuary, vampires are kind of like living plagues. They go from hunting ground to hunting ground.
Yeah.
They kill people, they bite people, and sometimes people who they've bitten, they suffer this monstrous transformation. They start to devolve into what we call thralls, kind of like lesser vampiric beings, long teeth, hunger for blood, all that stuff. And a Blood Knight is a person who, through means of an ancient ritual, has that curse of thraldom arrested inside them.
Oh, he's
frozen
like Blade.
essentially in place.
He's a
They get
daywalker.
some advantages, but they get some drawbacks too.
That's sick.
What do you mean the curse of turning into a thrall is a drawback? in a way?
Well, their thraldom is essentially on pause. So basically what happens is a Blood Knight, also preternaturally strong and fast, can see in the dark, can smell blood from a mile away, doesn't age anymore, as you've seen in the concept art, very, very fancy. But on the flip side, you know, they have these blood red eyes.
I'm guessing
have
this is the
black
icon
veins
for
in
the
their
class.
face,
Right.
makes people uncomfortable. And
don't see
maybe
why.
yeah, right. And sort of more pivotally than that, deep inside their soul, there is an abomination, a monstrous darkness that hungers for violence. And in order to tamp that down, in order to slow their transformation further, they have to perform a ritual. That keepsake that you saw in our cinematic character's right hand, the little thing on the chain.
Oh, the chain, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically their lifeline.
So like a link to their past?
Yeah. It's got a memento within of
So
the
that's their
last place
offhand.
that they were kind of truly human.
Right.
And so every morning, noon, and night, they're doing ablutions with this thing to hopefully continue to keep the darkness at bay.
So don't
But,
forget to log
you know,
into your
it's a
characters 3 times a
process.
day.
Right.
The ritual, it's
Otherwise he
hearsay.
dies.
It's been passed down for hundreds of years. And for basically every Blood Knight, it may fail at some point. All Blood Knights are doomed to one day succumb to their curse.
And they don't know if that's 1 day, 1 year, 1,000 years.
Could
They
be
don't know.
centuries,
Right. yeah.
right? They're very, very long lived.
Man.
What they do know and what they pledge on is that they're going to use all of the time they have left to push back the darkness. And ultimately for them, since that is such an uncertain question, it's really about their inner sense of balance. Can I do enough good
Right.
to make up for the evil that will rise when I'm gone?
I just wanted to give a shout out because we had the art up there earlier, and that art is gorgeous looking.
is, yeah.
At the same time, they're very pretty. I've been joking about it. I'm like, oh, look, they're so pretty.
If you were going to turn into a monster, you'd want to stop.
Or it's
there,
funny
right?
because they're very gorgeous here, and then they turn into the abomination, which is really funny to see. So it's like a complete opposite of what it is.
I mean, you mentioned
This,
the
yeah.
abomination. I think we saw the Blood Knight turn into this creature during that. So what actually is going on here? Like this is I guess Chris will talk eventually about how an abomination comes to me. But this is basically them tapping into what's inside them to change form.
Yeah, they're letting the curse off the leash just a little bit. It's going to grant them extreme power in the short term.
This is a Bruce Banner
but-
Hulk thing.
Yeah, but maybe there's a little anime teardrop there of do I come back from this?
Right. Okay. Got it.
Awesome. Well, I know with the Blood Knight,
Castlevania Hulk. I
obviously,
see.
it's
So that's like their
new
Wrath of the
class. How does it
Berserker
fit,
from the
Chris,
Barb, I
into
guess.
the a gameplay style? Like, what if you're playing at Blood Knight? What can you expect the style to be as a person that's actually jumping into Diablo?
Yeah, so the Blood Knight is actually a melee hybrid class, meaning there's tons of up-close combat with polearms. However, they have a host of shadow and blood abilities they can use
Shadow and Blood.
manipulate the battlefield in their favor. I think the drawback of
There's a
Blood
lot of
Knights
crossover
might
with the
be that
Necro then.
Players that start playing it might feel that their mobility is limited. However,
At least
they
the,
have
like,
tons of
elements.
legendary essences to help them improve the ability to close the gap on enemies, as well as life-stealing abilities to help them sustain themselves in
Makes a
lengthy combat
lot of
sequences.
sense for them
So
to be life
in
stealing
combat more often, close combat, so they're essentially taking more damage, but then they have abilities themselves to actually essentially drain,
use
as we can see,
polearms.
kind of
Look
like
at
life
that.
from others, essentially
That's
replenish their
very
life
cool.
while they're in combat. Right.
The kebab attack, as I like to call it.
The skewer.
The skewer attack is my favorite thing right now. I was like, so what's happening there? We saw it in the trailer. We see it here as well, is where they're basically able to stab an enemy, smash it around.
This looks
as
so
if they're
different
made of a
from how
hammer.
I
So-
remember this game.
like, Chris is like, yeah, that's basically it. You defined it.
It's pretty awesome.
But it actually has a stun as well, right? It's not just the attack on the one thing that you skewered. It actually it has an area effect.
Yeah, so the Blood Knight stabs their polearm forward into the closest enemy, then swings overhead the enemy and slams it into the ground, stunning everyone in a small AoE. And there are also legendary essences that let you lunge forward or actually leap to perform the slam.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's awesome.
And then I know, like, of course, with every class in Immortal, they all have different ultimates depending on their primary attack skills and so forth. Like, what kind of 2 different ultimates can we expect with the Blood Knight?
Yeah, I could talk a bit about the primary attacks. The first is Ravage. They're basically
Suddenly,
swinging their polearm around in
ambient
a
sound.
3-hit combo. And right here is the ultimate, where they become a
And it's
5-hit
gone.
combo with a stun at the end. And
Dual
the-
wielding pole arms. That's I like.
And the other primary attack they have is called Shadow's Edge. It's quite a unique one. It's the first in Immortal where the in melee range, the Blood Knight will do a slash, and for enemies that are further away, they'll actually throw the dagger forward. And there are legendary essences that add damage over time or make the dagger ricochet.
Nice. So you can essentially it's good room clear type of abilities is what I'm hearing. So if you got a ton of mobs in front of you, especially if the daggers are ricocheting and you mentioned piercing and so forth with the ultimate and everything, you can essentially clear out whole rooms.
Jump
with,
back into
with
Persona
that.
3.
So
Have a great stream.
It's awesome to hear.
Enjoy
I know,
Persona
as
3.
you mentioned beforehand, tons
Great
of
game.
legendary
nice talking to you,
essences
man.
and everything that are associated
care.
to kind of modify skills. I know, and we're even seeing here, this is like the abomination that we were talking about
So
beforehand.
why would I want to become the abomination? What do I get from that?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the Abomination a bit. The way it works is it is a transformative skill that requires defeating enemies to fill the bar, much like your ultimate.
Right.
However, it happens much more often, and it then transforms your entire skill bar into a new primary attack, followed by 2 specific skills, a Blood Rush, where
So that's
the
kind of
Blood
like
Knight actually
shape-shifting
dashes
in
forward
Last
in a
Epoch.
ball of blood.
Get a
And
whole
then there's
new
a
bar
3-hit
of
combo
abilities.
attack where if on the last hit they fly into the air and slam the ground, stunning everyone.
It lags a bit when they show these
Nice, that's awesome to see. I think with this update that's coming out on the 13th and the Blood Knight itself, and there are like even other components and that are kind of going to be coming with this actual update. Do you guys have any like additional information on?
Well, there's ways to play it, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the things that's really interesting. Like, I think having a new character class introduced on basically the anniversary of Diablo Immortal is really exciting. Like, it's a great way to celebrate 1 year that
It's a
Immortal has
year
been. It's hard to
already?
believe it's already been a year. It's crazy. But so having a new character, but I've been like a whirlwind barbarian for a year now, and loving that. And so now I'm going to obviously. Well, one of the great things about Immortal is that you can class change. So I can take my Paragon 500 Barbarian. I know that's not high. Thank you very much. I can take my Paragon 500 Barbarian and turn it into a.
Don't
Blood
worry,
Knight,
I'm
yes?
Paragon 3. I
Because there's
think.
basically 3 ways. We have the player who's been playing for a year, like myself. We have the new player, and we have the test driver. Right, is the way to think about that. So maybe you can go through that.
Yeah, totally. So if you're brand new to Immortal and have never played before, you can play the Blood Knight right out of the gate, create a new character completely free, and start with the main story complete with custom Blood Knight VO lines for all of the main quests.
Oh, yeah.
And for players like Rod who have been playing for a while and want to convert to this class, I'm happy to say that we've made some major improvements to class change. Strength and intelligence will now convert properly.
I know it's a huge request that a lot of people are asking for. Yes.
Yes, it's going to be great. And also, players will be able to, during the event, change to the Blood Knight on a one-day cooldown and also revert back infinitely. So if you decide you don't like playing the Blood Knight, you can revert the day of. Or if you want to try it again tomorrow, you can go ahead and change back to the Blood Knight.
Nice. Awesome.
And lastly, I want to talk about the Crimson Plane event. So for Immortal players that are familiar with Fractured Plane, there will be a special Crimson Plane event where there'll be.
So I think a lot maybe don't know what Fractured Plane. So maybe just what's the 5-second version of what is Fractured Plane?
So Fractured Plane is basically a roguelite inside of Immortal where you're able to try out all of the skills and abilities and build.
Never heard of
towards, 15 levels of defeating enemies just to try out different skills.
You basically start with a fresh class, and so you're taking your character. Like I have a very specific build with very specific gear. But if I wanted to go play Fractured Planes, it says, "Oh, you're a barbarian. Here's some random skills. See how far you can get with this," and you build up your gear and stuff as you're playing through this roguelike experience. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so now for the Blood Knight introduction, you've created Crimson Planes, which is a version of the same experience to go and test drive all the different Blood Knight skills?
Exactly. So you'll be able to try out different skills and legendary essences without actually committing to changing to the class. So just try it out, see if you like it, and if you do, there's always class change available.
Nice.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. So we have, and we have other things like I mentioned that are coming in this actual update. I know that for any new player that's coming in, of course, they can create a Blood Knight, how we mentioned beforehand, customize it, and it's completely free. And then, of course, any existing character can do class changes if they want, or they can create a new character if they would like to do it that way as well. But I know we have like a new legendary gem that's going to be coming in this actual update
It's
as
insane
well.
to me that this
And
game
then
has
we
better
even
character
have,
customization than 4.
just other like items associated with this specific patch that'll
It's
be
a
hitting
full
as
set
well.
of legendaries for the Blood
Exactly.
Knight too.
Yeah,
which is
and
great.
we're actually going to be listing out every single legendary
In the blog, yeah.
that is available for the Blood Knight on our blog immediately after the stream. So you guys can check out the cinematic trailer that we showed off for the Blood Knight earlier on that blog, and of course read all the details about what's coming in this update that is hitting on the 13th of July. So soon. It's crazy. We do. We're super stoked. The cinematic is amazing, by the way. I just want
It
to
was very good.
Why are you,
highlight.
for people who didn't get to see it in full frame rate, you're basically rubbing their noses at it.
Essentially,
Go watch it again, please.
See it in the Blizzard
Oh, no,
cinematic.
they feel
team,
bad.
amazing team. That
We
cinematic
can still
is
tell it was a
great.
cool trailer.
Nothing like seeing blood splattered all over some stained glass. It's Diablo, so it makes perfect sense. It's great. But we are super stoked. So yeah, July 13th is when it's going to be coming out. And then, of course, again, check DiabloImmortal.com immediately after the stream. We'll have a blog up there for people to check out all the
Yeah,
details.
congratulations, guys, on the
Yep.
year. It's been an amazing year for Immortal. And I think people who maybe tried it at launch and haven't gone back to take a look at it, like basically every quarter we do major updates and really change the game. So the ability to craft set items, the ability to take your duplicate legendaries and turn that into a currency so that you can make your current legend, stronger, and the way that you do dungeons now, like and the tower, the clan play, like there's just so much else going on. So it's a free-to-play game. If you want to go check it out, just to see all the changes, like I said, there's been in a year. It's a completely different game in the sense of the different ways that you can approach the content, which is exciting. But hearing the fact that you fully recorded all VO for the Blood Knight for the campaign, I think it'll be exciting to go back and start over.
Yeah, it's about 2,000 lines in total. We've got a pair of really, really awesome voice actors, Abby Trott and Ben Prendergast. Absolutely killed it as the Blood Knight. It's just pure haughtiness and bloodlust and action all the way through. They've got some interesting takes on. I was going to say the name of the villain, our Act 3 villain in Darkwood. Some interesting perspectives there. But yeah, I don't think there's ever really been a better time to re-roll, to start a new run through the main story.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much, and congratulations.
Thanks so much,
thank you.
Rod. We're stoked.
And we're going to be now switching over to D4
Interesting.
content. We're actually going to take like a really short break because we got to swap people in. This room's
Gotta
only so
throw
big.
these guys out.
And we also need mics off of people and everything. But we're going to be swapping in into our Diablo 4 segment. So we'll see you here in a minute or so.
Does it mean we get Joey P? That'd be cool. Haven't seen Joey P in a while. I mean, he missed one stream, so. Oh, they're showing the full thing? Or just the... Gotta lower the volume quite a bit here. Yeah, that was... it was the class I was expecting them to show for Immortal. But it still looks great. I hope it one day shows up in 4 as well, because just as a concept, I think the Blood Knight is pretty dope. It's pretty cool. It has a lot of potential. I think that it's like the pure vampire form it goes into seems like a cool mix between werewolf form and Wrath of the Berserker from the Barbarian. And yeah, just artistically, I don't know, just the way the character looks, like the art direction or the just pure concept art of this as a class is really cool. And I hope it shows up in more places. Absolutely. Because while it is very fun and cool that new Diablo games keep bringing back the classics, like the classes we all love from the old games, I think there needs to be some new ones added. We need some new ones, which is why I think that our holy warrior in Diablo 4 should probably be a Templar instead of bringing back a Paladin or a Crusader. Even though they are all very similar, I think just some minor changes could be could just make it feel new and fresh in a way it hasn't in quite a while. So we do need some different stuff, you know. Even though I want the paladin back, I want the monk to come back, I kind of want the witch doctor in some capacity down the line, and the Amazon. I think those classes could be utilized in a different way. If they add a Blood Knight to D4, I'd 100% play it. Same. It's a great concept for a class. And I hope they keep diving into this to like Devil May Cry vibes. Interesting. Okay, that was the trailer version of the cinematic. So we don't get to see Inarius break shit. Devil May Cry vibes. Yeah, it gives me a lot of Castlevania, like the Netflix show specifically, vibes.